Ready?
Yes.
Okay. Hello and welcome back to the Compel Reality Podcast.
Welcome back to the Compel Reality Podcast, everybody.
Today we have JD from Homeland. Say hi.
Hello.
JD from Homeland Security, the governmental.
Yes. Yeah. He makes sure we're doing everything okay in our country.
Yes.
Yeah,
No.
exactly. Making sure that you're safe and sound in your bed at night.
And in the metaverse.
Yeah.
And in the metaverse. Yep.
So, JD, you primarily do eSports in terms of the VR space, right? Primarily.
Yes. I just switched over to the VR space after coming from CounterStrike for 20 years.
Okay.
Pretty much.
You want to give us your background real quick?
Yeah. So, your boy was born in 1996, and I got my first PC at age 5. So, like 01 area, and started playing CounterStrike 1.6, and then moved on to CounterStrike Source. I played CounterStrike Source in what you would say is like the pro scene, but there's no money back then. Around age 9. And then I finally, when the money flew, kind of came into CS:GO. I was playing pro. I was in high school. I have about like 45,000 hours or so in CounterStrike. Over a span of 21 years. And now I'm just switching over to VR because I have more enjoyment in this and excitement.
Yeah. So,
and have you noticed that the transfer? I feel like it probably wouldn't transfer over, like the hand-eye coordination between like the mouse and keyboard to like VR controllers. Have you noticed that actually like kind of gave you like a leg up when you made the switch to VR?
Yeah, it helped me a lot. I mean, especially with like, since most of them are all shooter games, the game sense from Counter-Strike translates very well into VR. And since VR is still a fairly new kind of scene, a lot of guys that play this competitive VR shooter, they don't understand the flat screen side of things, right? So,
gotcha.
My experience, I don't want to say trumps their experience because VR is always going to be different. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to how to run a team and run a professional kind of organization to where I play on stages and things like that, I feel like I have a leg up on that.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
So you've been
you had a question?
You've been doing esports for a fairly long time then.
Yeah, this will be my 21st year.
Crazy. That is wild.
Jesus fucking Christ. Bro, that's insane. You've legit been an esports player since you were a kid.
Yes.
Actually it's interesting because like, I mean, basically when you got into esports was like the dawn of modern esports. Like that's when it first started picking up. That was like back in the day when, right? Probably when they were still doing like Halo 2 LAN tournaments.
Yeah.
And shit, right?
So my first, so like growing up, you had like Cal, which was like the cyber amateur league or athlete league, I forget what it was called. Then you had CPL, which was like the pro kind of circuit of it.
Okay.
So I was Cal Invite, which is the highest level, which would be like the pro level, right? But it's really hard to say pro because there was no money back then. So like we were just were just known as, okay, these are the pro players.
Right.
So going from there, and then finally when CS:GO, I would say around 2013 is when the money started flowing in. Like before that, we were playing for free, or we were playing for like Logitech mice. Like Logitech would sponsor a team and they would give you some gear. Like that doesn't really pay your bills, right?
Right. And
then finally the whole skin boom came, and then that's when the skins started to get really popular. And then orgs were like, oh, we can make money. So around that time, iBuyPower, for those that know, when they threw that match against Netcode Gaming, they were the only paid team in CS:GO at the time in North America, but they're only making like $1,000 a month, which some people would be like, oh, that's a lot for gaming. We were putting in, I want to say, like every 2 weeks, probably like 180 hours of gaming in, right? Wow. So it wasn't really enough, which when you hear that, you understand why they threw for the money. But once they got banned, orgs started to come in. I would say the lowest team in like the invite professional scene was probably around like that $6,000 a month. High end would be like, actually probably high end now probably around like 28 to 30 grand a month.
Yeah, which is, I mean, pretty
That's
fucking
pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not bad money. I mean, it's crazy because like esports. I mean, people laughed at esports for like the longest time because they were like, "Well, that's just stupid. Like, you could never make money playing video games, right?"
Mhm.
And then,
Exactly.
fast forward 20 years, and it actually wound up being one of the most profitable industries in the world and also one of the largest, right? So it
Exactly.
fucking exploded. And now we're starting to see its emergence come into VR with games like Veil. And I mean, even Pavlov has had, which is arguably considered like a social shooter or a
Yeah.
casual game, right? Has had esports tournaments
Mhm.
around it. So yeah, very very interesting to see that sort of that shift, and I'm glad that we're actually finally seeing it come to VR because I think that's kind of like the cool like cultural stuff we have to be adding to VR to get people into it.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
Yeah.
yeah,
With Homeland, so I don't know the backstory behind Homeland. Was that always a thing before you joined, or did you found it, or some? I don't know the backstory
No,
behind it.
so the three people that put Homeland together, one of them actually plays currently for the Oakland A's. He's a pitcher.
Mhm.
So he made the organization with two of his friends. I honestly,
no shit, bro.
yeah.
That's awesome.
So I'm actually fairly new to Homeland. So I bought my first VR headset was when the Quest 2 came out.
Mhm.
I moved over to the Index, and I want to say I hadn't played VR since probably 2020, and I came back about a month ago and started playing Veil Pugs, like 2 hours, like total. And I started playing Veil Pugs, and then a guy by the name Kled, he's now CEO of Homeland. One of the CEOs just stepped down and promoted Kled to it, and Kled hit me up maybe 3 days after playing Veil for the first time, and he was like, "Hey, you want to start the team?" And I said, "Sure, why not?" I mean, I feel like I have a lot of experience, and more experience than people in VR can say they have when it comes to building a professional team. Just because
Yeah,
there's no money
sure.
here, right? I mean,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then I saw it as a great opportunity because, again, I was there for pretty much the infant stage of, I would say, competitive gaming, CounterStrike, when there was no
right.
money, and now I'm able to do that in the VR world is just kind of like mind-boggling because it's like
Kind of
I can
surreal.
exactly right. Like
Yeah,
I went from flat screen and now I'm coming to what quite honestly be the future of VR, or
Mhm.
the future of
yeah,
gaming in general. I mean, because VR just opens up the avenue to so many things because it's said like when you get older to the mid 20s and the 30s, you decline in Counter-Strike and flat screen games because your reaction time isn't what it used to be, and there's
right.
kids coming up. VR is the only thing I've seen where it doesn't matter what age you are, you can ball out. I mean,
Yep.
it doesn't matter.
Right.
And a lot of real world skills translate. So I come from the military and law enforcement, so
Right.
my experience in firearms and shooting firearms really transfers into VR, which made that
Yeah.
jump very easy for
Yeah,
me.
I bet.
Yeah. I can imagine. Yeah, it's actually funny you say that because like I was like a long time ago now actually, but like I think it was this past holiday or whatever. But my brother was in town, and my dad, my brother, and I, we all went to the shooting range just to like family outing or whatever. And they were like, "What the fuck? How are you shooting so well all of a sudden?" And I was like, "Well, I just play a lot of VR shooting games, bro. It's easy.
Yeah.
Like it actually, I mean, obviously it doesn't exactly transfer
Right.
because like,
You got
the game
recoil and
simulates
stuff.
recoil
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Right.
Exactly.
Exactly. But still nonetheless, like the basics are the same. Like when you're like
Yeah.
looking down the sights, like you
Mhm.
still look down them the same way and everything still looks the same. So
Reloading,
yeah.
all that stuff is pretty
Yeah.
similar. And
Mhm.
then you see a big surge in I was watching YouTube a couple weeks ago, and they brought this guy that drifts in racing sim games.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
they said, "Hey, go drift on this course, and if you do it, you get this car, you can do all this stuff." And he was
Yeah.
drifting perfect. I mean,
Yeah.
I think people are now seeing that simulations and video games really do prepare people for things in the outside world as well.
Oh yeah,
So
100%.
it's super dope.
Okay. So for clarification, because you're technically pretty much a random guess, like there's no backstory in terms of content, our content creation side of things.
Yeah.
So for
Yeah, that's true.
clarification, we met JD in a VR chat event I hosted. What was it? 2 weeks ago, something like that.
Yeah,
Something like
about
a week
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Panda invited him to the event, and he just hung out with us and had a good time. And then we kicked it off pretty well. So that's for clarification in terms of how we met JD from Homeland.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he didn't just come out of fucking
yeah,
nowhere
it's
like just to be on the show.
No.
Yeah.
So we know him. We know him at this point.
But it seemed important. It seemed like like a relevant person to have.
Yeah,
Because like
yeah.
we want to
Yeah,
talk to
yeah.
everybody in the VR space.
Yeah.
I don't think just
And-
creators. I mean, we talked to Tropical from Veil
And you're the
shit like that.
you're a professional esports player, so that really brings more light to us. I mean, I don't know much about esports myself, right? So having you on is clearing some air for me, right? Because I don't know
Yeah.
anything about it.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
informing.
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
sorta.
And
Yeah.
I hope people watching, right, could get some clarification that way too, in terms of how VR
Yeah, learn from it.
esports and VR esports are essential and essentially in gaming spaces and shit like that.
Yeah,
So-
definitely.
So
So what has been your? Oh, sorry. Go
by the
ahead.
way, you can say the most cursed shit if you want to, because I know you and me have been
Yeah,
like
you don't
saying the
have
most.
no, definitely. No, definitely.
So
we just haven't hit that stage yet in the questioning yet.
No, bro. I'm just saying because we've been saying curse shit outside of the podcast.
Oh, yes,
you
we
just like
fucking
and just
have.
did, like you felt like you did a 180 to professional.
Oh, I'm real good at switching to professional if I need to.
No, bro. You can be yourself. We don't care.
Perfect.
We literally
Yeah.
say shit, piss, cum, dick, and ass in this fucking podcast. I
Yeah,
don't care.
That's
balls.
my favorite.
So-
Just don't say the C word because apparently YouTube thinks it's a gamer word.
So the
Copy that.
4-letter C
Yeah.
word, the N word, and the T at the end, F word.
Well, the
F word,
4-letter
yeah.
C word is the one that ends with a K or a T.
T.
Okay.
No,
yeah.
you can say
cock.
You can
Oh,
say
perfect. Cock and balls.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Or cock and balls. Yeah, they're all
Yeah,
the same.
You want to
Definitely.
take my
Yeah.
fucking cock and balls?
You want to take this fucking cock and dick?
Exactly.
fucking do it
All right,
right
don't
there.
let the chef.
I'm presenting my fucking cock right now. You want to?
Yeah.
I can fucking strip for you right now, baby. You
Shit.
wanna
I mean,
talk
I'll do it right now. You want me to get up?
just
Hey yo, homie's got that fizz bones dick on standby. He's like, let me just get my strap on for my ERP. Let's
Exactly.
go.
I'm with it.
Dude, you wouldn't believe some of the fucking shit that people put into this, like mod into this game, though. For real, like
Yeah.
I'm talking like sexual stuff,
Mhm.
like the
Oh,
dicks
definitely.
and I'm not
Mhm.
exaggerating. Like they actually put like fizz bones on their penises and stuff. Like
Oh, Lord.
it's fucking wild.
Yeah. So
like
like
it's actually wild.
when I got VR, the first thing I did was actually go into VR chat. And I told
That's
myself,
usually
and I told myself I'll never do it again. I'll never do it again because the first thing I went to was like this penthouse skyrise, and I
Mhm.
go over to the right into like the big glass window looking down at the city, and there were like these furries cuddling and these anime girl and boys cuddling, and they're like whispering like they're like sex talking, and I was like, you know what? Can't do it. Alt F4, never touch it again. And then I shit you not, when Soul was doing that event, I trolling messaged Panda and was like, wow, no invite. Because I had no intentions of going back into VR chat.
yeah.
And I did that and I was like, oh shit, this is dope.
Yeah.
And then I saw people with full body tracking and everything, and I was like, fuck it, I'm buying full body tracking. So I bought full body tracking the next
You're not
day
wearing it.
no shit.
because I'm sitting
Yeah.
down.
I mean, right, but I mean, technically, you still could, right? I mean,
True,
technically
yeah, I
you
just
could
didn't wanna
too, but
set
I'm
it
just
up.
lazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, dude, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, I completely get it. It's like that. Like I only put my full body tracking on that day because I saw Kevin do it, and I was like, bro, I gotta fucking do it now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was super dope, and I was like, dude, I never even thought of getting full body tracking, but then once I did that, I was like, dude, this is actually really crazy on
It
how far
fucking
they've come in
slaps.
just like a 6-year
Yeah.
period from Oculus
It's-
CE1 or whatever it was to now. It's just it's
Mhm.
crazy.
It's actually mind blowing. Like it actually never ceases to amaze me, and I feel like this topic comes up like almost every time we have somebody on here where we start talking about like how quickly it's developing and evolving, and
Yeah.
it's like, dude, the level of immersion that you can actually get. Like, have you guys seen Thrill's Ready Player One video?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like literally,
There's so much tech.
Like Ready Player One is here. Like it's
Exactly.
not a pipe dream anymore.
But
you
it's
know?
just super
6 years ago
expensive.
it was.
It's just.
I mean,
Yeah.
it is granted it's super expensive, but it's possible. You know what I mean? Which couldn't have been said even 4 or 5 years
Yeah,
ago.
no, yeah. Like you have the B haptic suits that are phenomenal from what I hear, and I'm about to go buy another. I'm about to go buy one because someone was talking about it.
Polo shirt.
Exactly.
Panda was like, okay, we were playing Valheim with Panda last night, and he asked the B haptics question, if it was worth it. Stack and I obviously said yes because we were both using it in Valheim, and Panda goes no.
And it wasn't like a slow no. He's like, nope, not worth it. Before they even said the word.
Yeah.
And we're like, and he's like, it just vibrates when I walk next to an ocean Skyrim. No shit, because it's a fucking wave crashing down. Of course it's gonna vibrate, right? Like,
And then,
fuck, man.
he was like trying to he was trying to justify specific implements for Veil, right? Because he works for Veil, right? And we asked a question about Veil, Veil B haptics, and he was like, "It's like I don't want to feel the recoil. I would like to feel where I'm getting shot from." Which is like,
and I was like,
that is a fair point.
Yeah, but B haptics are meant for immersion, bro. Like,
he said it breaks the
recoil and
immersion if you
all.
feel the recoil, and I'm like, no, you should definitely feel the recoil when you shoot in your
should
shoulder.
definitely feel the recoil. Yeah, 100%.
Oh.
I mean, they even have like accessories you can buy now that simulate recoil.
Like the force tube.
Have you seen
The
those?
force tube,
Yeah, they're like they basically
it's a motor.
basically.
It's a motor, and then it will every time you shoot, like it connects straight to Steam VR, but if I remember correctly, and it will simulate the recoil on your shoulder or wherever the hell it could be on your cock and balls, you know, and you're just shooting, and then it just vibrate your cock or something, you know.
Yeah, you just pull the trigger with your dick and then feel it vibrate against your balls.
That would be fucking awesome.
I'm so down. And go to town.
I'm so down bad. I'll do that, dude. Like, oh lord. Here's my money.
Down
Take
bad
it.
to get some action.
Yeah, now you know how all those fucking ERP schmucks and VRChat feel. You know?
I know. I might just try it. Fuck it,
bro.
Who knows?
If you get some time, you gotta go. Shameless self plug, but you gotta go watch my video. I did a whole fucking deep dive on ERP inside of VRChat, like fucking like a year and a half ago.
Oh shit!
And it is wild what I learned about like how far people go to like.
That's to me that's just crazy. Like. I understand that's their thing, but to me, I'm like, dude, no fucking shot.
I would never have expect, like when I first got into VR. I mean, to be fair, I never went into VRChat when I first got into VR. I already had games like lined up to purchase and stuff to try out. Like Onward, I had Pavlov and stuff. I wasn't VR. I don't socialize. I am an introvert to the fucking core of my cock and balls. All right. I don't
deep inside of your loins.
right in my fucking sphincter and everything. I don't talk to anybody. I don't talk to any.
Which is weird because you set up like
right. I know it's
stuff,
that's like the one thing that's like I may be good at like organizing events and stuff, but I'm not a talker whatsoever. Like normally I'm not in content mode like a lot, you know. I say oh yeah, okay, yeah, that kind of thing. It's literally like one word out of me.
Simulator 2022.
Yeah, it's literally one word out of me.
Yeah, definitely.
So VRChat wasn't my first thing, and then when I saw like I think it was Swagger that would like talk to people about ERP stuff, I'm like, bro, that's a thing, bro. I can't do that shit.
I was blown away when I found out, and that's basically what spawned that whole video. Is I was like, I have to learn more about this. Like this is like there's a whole. It's like that Disney song, "A Whole New World."
Oh, definitely, definitely,
it's
dude.
like it's literally a fucking totally different world. And like again, I'm not reserving judgment or casting judgment on anyone. I don't care what people like want to do in their free time. It's not my personal cup of tea. Yeah,
we're not
if it,
harming
as
anyone.
long as they're consenting adults and they're not,
Right.
getting seriously hurt or anything, I don't give a fuck what you
Yeah.
do. But yeah, it's definitely interesting how
Oh,
much
definitely.
money people will spend on it, and then
Mhm. Like
just to get their rocks off.
like like Rips, yeah. When we saw him with this fully custom avatar and shit with the fucking tail Earnhardt in the back.
Oh
I
my
didn't
god,
think that
that
was
avatar
actually
is something
his. I
else.
thought it
It's
was
his, bro.
I
It's
didn't
his custom avatar.
I didn't think it was
Yeah.
actually his, bro. I just thought it
Yeah.
was some like random one he found. I didn't realize that Dale Earnhardt was on the back either. So I'm like, bro, it's like, bro, you got time, you got money. Show. Oh shit.
So JD, why don't you tell us a little bit about, like, I know you said that you grew up playing esports, but tell us like about yourself. Like, what's your story? What got you like into VR aside from esports, and kind of like what led you to, I guess, the person that you are today?
Okay, yeah.
Kind of a deep question, but
No, definitely. I'm a really open book. So I grew up in Oregon, but I grew up in a small like area of Oregon outside the Portland area.
Okay.
That is
I'm
just
sorry.
very like I know, right? That's very just like literally like my block is probably one of the worst blocks. I mean,
Oof.
I actually worked for the sheriff's office. I used to that actually patrols where I used to grow up, and
Sure.
where I lived actually spawns about 80% of our work calls.
Ooh.
So growing up,
Damn.
friends joining gangs. I mean, I would have literally Homeland Security, FBI, SWAT teams serving warrants probably every weekend. You just see them driving their armored trucks through
Jesus
the apartment
fuck.
complex, right?
Yeah.
So I grew up in a very like rough area, and that's when I started playing sports. I played football. Was the first sport I played. Well, actually, soccer was, but every kid plays soccer, so I don't really count that.
Yeah.
But the first like real sport that I played and enjoyed was football, and I started in third grade. And I used that as an outlet to like stay away from the gangs. And then,
Sure.
my dad would play Unreal Tournament all the time, so I watched him play it. He played the Unreal Tournament Game of the Year edition.
Hell yeah.
He plays it all the time, and that's what he played. So
Yeah.
I would watch him a bunch, started playing it. I watched him play Resident Evil way back in the day, and I remember this vividly. He was walking through a hallway, and those bloodhounds jumped out the window, and he like turned the game off because he was scared. Right, he was scared, turned the game off, and I was like, you know what, I want to do that. So so that's when I started playing games, and I used both of those, sports and gaming, as an outlet to stay away from the gangs. Just because most of my friends joined the gangs, and I would say probably 70% of them are either dead or in jail from who I grew up with, right?
Bro,
so that's kind of what. That's what gaming did for me, right? Yeah, so that's what gaming did for me. But I know people in gaming, like I still talk to people I played with when I was 6. Like, so 20 years of friendship, and they know more about me than people in real life know about me, right? So I think that was kind of my escape. Was gaming was something I could talk to people, and they don't judge, right? They don't judge. They wouldn't judge me if I said, "Hey, I was depressed," because one, they don't know me in real life, right? You see me in real life, I'm a 6'1" black man with full sleeve tattoos and neck tattoos, right? People be like, "Oh, and I played sports. I was a 3-star. I was a 3-star recruit for football, and then I played semi-pro box lacrosse after I graduated." So it's like, you look at me, you're like, "Oh, this is the man," but not knowing that I have severe bipolar, anxiety, PTSD, and depression, right? So gaming kind of like helped that, because I can meet Soul and talk to him about it, and there's no judgment because he doesn't know who I was before, right?
Right.
So that's kind of like my personal story a little bit. I coach high school football. I've done that for about 8 years now, and then I was also in the Army. And I have Crohn's disease, which is an autoimmune deficiency, and mine's pretty severe. So I go in for infusions every 8 weeks. But that's what got me out of the military. Was I started having, it was really bad. I lost about, I want to say, 55 pounds in 3 weeks.
Damn.
I looked super sick. When I came home, it got even worse. I went to the hospital. In a span of 6 months, I spent probably like 2.5 months in the hospital.
Holy shit!
Had a heart attack at 20. I mean, like, bunch of life stuff happened, but I just keep looking forward, because that's what I was raised to do, is just, I can't dwell on the past. And that's why I tell the kids I coach, I'm like, dude, it could always be worse. Keep going. And I coach where I went to school with. I coach where I went to school at. So a lot of those kids are in similar situations I was in. So it's kind of like a blessing in disguise that I'm able to have an outlet with gaming, but then also have an outlet with making sure these kids don't fall into a trap that a lot of my friends fell into.
Sure.
And I'm super open with them also. So they know about my mental health issues. They know about my gaming. They watch me on Twitch. Like they'll give subs to me, or they'll put in our football group chat with all the players. They'll be like, "Oh, look at Coach Dixon playing games," and they'll send my like. So it's almost like a blessing in disguise, because gaming's done so much for me, and it's spilled over into the real world as well, where I learn not to judge people in gaming. Like how you guys said, the ERP, that's not me, but guess what? Like, that's the sweet thing about gaming and VR in specific, is there is something for everyone. Whether you are a furry or an e-girl, e-guy, like you can do literally anything, and you have full-on communities about it. So you never feel alone. And there's a lot of people that have similar issues that you have. And
they even got like My Little Pony VR chat community.
Exactly, right? So it's like,
so if you're a brony, like go ham.
There's many different kinds of communities in VR chat for sure.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I've kind of did my turn into VR only gaming, because VR gaming in general, the community is way different than flat screen. A lot of people say it's really troll, which I troll a lot, but it's very right, but it's very accepting.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my background. That's kind of twisty turn, but
okay. So that's a little bit of your background. How about what got you into VR? Because you said you had like started with the Quest 2, right? But like what made you go out and get a Quest 2?
It was cheap. I mean, like it came out, right? Like, because my thing is like
not anymore.
Yeah, exactly. But like I talked to you yesterday, you like when you watch VR games on YouTube, it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Right. It just doesn't look good to me. Like when I bought the headset, I was like, okay, like it may look a little better, right? So I got the Quest 2, but before I even got it, when they announced the Quest 2, I bought Half-Life Alyx. I bought Onward. I bought like 30 games, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna buy 30 games. I play 3 of them. But I bought a whole bunch of games. I pre-downloaded them, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try this out. And once I put it on, I was like, dude, this is insane. Like, this is nothing like the videos, and it kind of re-sparked my love for gaming, because playing a flat screen game just one flat screen game for 45,000 hours, and that's not including the other 700 games I have in Steam.
Right.
I have a ton of games, but I played one game like 45,000 hours. I don't think people realize it's like 4 years or 5 years of your life. Like that's actually in the game. It was just so boring, because like cool, the graphics were better in new games. Like that was it, right? Like I don't really care so much about graphics as a game, and I care more about gameplay. But VR came, and I was like, holy shit, like this looks real. Like this room, I feel like I'm in my room. Like it's things like this where you're like, dude, what the hell? Right? And every time I put VR on, I get blown away. We were playing Valheim yesterday, like you said, and I kept talking about how fucking awesome it was, because it's just crazy that you see that and you would think that it was an actual port from the studio, but it's a player mod.
It's literally just some mod,
right? So it's like I see that, and that's what kind of drew me to VR. And then this year break I took of VR playing flat screen games, I was like, you know what? I saw Veil, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try this. It looks fun. Why not get into the beginning of a VR shooter that is built for eSports? And it's like, if I was at the beginning, like I said earlier, if I was at the beginning of flat screen CS:GO, CounterStrike in general eSports, let's get into the Veil eSports, because getting into the ground level is so important.
Yeah.
Because people will still know who you are.
Right.
When they see your name, they're like, oh, this guy helped shape what our league is today. He may not be active in it anymore, but without him and the other 48 teams that are qualifying for these playoffs for Veil, there wouldn't be this. Right. So that's kind of how I look at VR, is almost like a stepping stone, not to even jumpstart my content creating. Cause like I stream and put YouTube videos, like clips out, but I don't really do that. Most of my money and all that came from actually playing the game. So I kind of like the whole content creation side because I got to meet Soul, I got to meet Virtual Panda and things like that, and now I get to meet you. So
hell yeah,
it's one of those things where VR content creators are so much more welcoming than bigger flat screen content creators typically, right? Like,
yeah.
if Soul was a flat screen gamer with his following and all that stuff, he wouldn't talk to someone with 0 people. Like, I'm not saying him in general, but someone with the same like flat screen equivalents. They just have egos. VR is not like that. I mean,
No,
Soul could have
everyone
said,
in this
"No, I'm
space
not
is
playing with
very
you."
humble.
Yeah, so Soul could have said, "No, I'm not playing with you." Nah, we talked behind Panda's back and we downloaded 7 more mods for Valheim, and we're making him download the mods for Valheim. Like, it's one of those things where it's accepting so quick to where I feel like I've known Soul for more than 2 weeks, right? Like,
yeah.
And that's kind of why I like VR and not the flat screen gaming. Is VR is just so different.
Let me ask you this: so when me and Gramsy talk, how long do you think we known each other for?
I have to say, like a year plus, right? Like, it's just that
roughly, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, about
Like
a year and a half or
the
so,
very
yeah.
first session we did together, it was just instant hit off. Like we just
instant chemistry, felt love at first sight, basically.
Yeah,
No,
definitely.
I'm kidding.
Hey man, hey,
that's my man. Stop it! What the fuck?
Stop it. No, but for real, yeah, like he said, it was just instant, immediately. Like our humor was the same. We instantly like just connected and like just had a fucking great time.
Yeah.
And it's not just like you, right? Like there's like, again, like Panda. Like I messaged Panda for the previous event, the very first one, I believe, first or second, one of the two, and then hit it off with that too. And then there's plenty of other people, you know, Short Stack, Tribe Grey Wolf, got Luxotic VR, you got Rochi, you got Mr. Survivor. All of them we hit it off with very quickly in terms of the VR space, and it's very welcoming for sure. And there, I mean, there's only been like a few things out there, right, that have actually like sparked like a kind of like hatred kind of thing in the community, but it, and more or less they've died down fairly quickly. So I'm not like,
and they really have been very far and few between. Like, it's not a
common
common
it's not
occurrence.
common
Like,
at all.
you could pull up like there are on YouTube right now, there are entire channels dedicated to drama between YouTubers. Like, that's literally all they do is start drama between like other YouTubers, and especially like the big ones are like the gaming YouTubers, right?
Yes.
Because they're the ones with, you know, millions of subscribers, and and that's literally all they do. And the VR community just isn't like that.
Exactly.
I don't know if it's the technology is just attracting like the right kind of people with like the sort of that mindset, that like humble, I don't know, but like it just hasn't been like that.
You know,
I'm sure eventually if it got large enough, like you would probably, I would expect to see more of it, but I just don't see it at the same consistency that I see it in a lot of other places.
And it definitely isn't, because like before I got into VR, the only thing you heard in really VR was really the bad things were in VRChat. Like, that's from the outside looking in, it was like, oh, these people are grooming little kids, but it's like that's such a one-off. I mean,
that's the exception, not the
right?
rule.
Exactly. Like, that's such a one-off where it's like, okay, well, it says it's 18 plus. Why are you letting your 12-year-old kid go into this, right? So it's like it's not monitored as much as like flat screen game is allowed to, because I can go on my computer and lock half of the games. So if my nephew comes over, he can't play any game because he can't click on it.
Right.
VR was different back then, but that's the only kind of scandal you hear. You don't hear anything else. They don't talk about the HBO documentary about people finding their real life love in VR chat, because they only want to look at that one negative that happened 20 years ago.
Right.
Like it's just not a thing, right?
It's so weird. I don't understand, and I've complained like somewhat vocally about this, like publicly on Twitter lately. I know, cringe place to do that.
Toxic as fuck.
It's like it's this weird thing where I don't get it, but for whatever reason, the mainstream media just has this like weird hate boner for virtual reality, where all they do is basically hit pieces against it.
Yeah.
And they don't have any sort of objective trying to remain unbiased both sides of the stories. It's just like, oh, this kid was groomed and abducted because of somebody they met through VRChat or something. Or
Yeah.
it's like, child predators are trying to get your children, and it's like, we're not saying it's not happening. Obviously it's
Right,
happening.
right.
Like, or these stories wouldn't be coming up. But that's also something that has been happening on the dawn of the internet since the beginning of time.
Exactly.
Right? Like, that's not
AIM,
like a new
Facebook,
thing.
all that stuff.
This is simply just a different medium for that to
Yeah.
occur. It's the same bullshit, different story, basically.
It's because they hate gaming and they're like, oh, VR opens it up for all that stuff. But it's like, you don't talk about Facebook, you don't talk about anything else. You only want to hit on gaming because you want gaming to not be as successful as it is. They don't realize that people that play Cooking Simulator, for instance, which is a very realistic VR game, people learn how to cook from that. People learn how to be mechanics from that car mechanic game on Steam. Like, people learn how to do things because of gaming, and they're like, oh, they're not going to college for this, they're learning from gaming. We hate gaming. And it's like,
pretty
right?
much.
And that's really how it is. It's people are able to learn so much from gaming. And there's a new VR thing on the Quest, which I'm going to try, which teaches you how to play piano. Like, it does an AR view, and you watch the chords come down. It stops until you press the keys. People hate that because they're like, oh, now they're not going to spend money and fund the economy that we don't even get to see.
Right.
But you're going to hate gaming because it helps people.
It's so funny because back in the day when I was in like middle school, I vividly recall we were going over, it was world history, and it was some kind of lesson about, we were going over like the Mongols with like Genghis Khan and the Khan legacy and all that. And I fucking answered a question perfectly. Like, I knew like the exact date, and I like explained the reason why. And my teacher was like, how did you know that? Because nobody else knew it.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I played Age of Empires.
Yeah.
I literally learned it from a video game, bro.
Definitely. Like I passed AP Euro in high school because of Assassin's Creed 2.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed 2 is very accurate to European history. So she's asking questions. I'm like, oh, I know that. She's like, how? I'm like, I killed the guy. What do you mean?
I killed him.
She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, oh, well, I was Enzio. I jumped in the haystack and I stabbed him with a hidden blade, and that's why I know. She's like, oh, I'm like, yeah, it's a video game. She's like, I figured now.
Yeah.
The reason why, there's not a whole lot of hatred for it, right? Is probably because of expenses, right? Because, it's definitely more expensive to get into VR, and because, because like, if you're wanting to do like Steam games, for example, not everybody's going to have a PC, and you're going to have Quests, right? And then with the Quest, you got like games like Gorilla Tag. Obviously you can do VR chat, but obviously there's still limitations compared to PC.
Yeah.
That's probably why the VR community as a whole isn't as toxic as other communities. You probably agree with this. CounterStrike can be very toxic.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
It but unlike that, it's not exactly relevant in terms of VR because it's not. It's probably because of the expensives.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that gatekeeping is good. No, I'm kidding.
Honestly,
that is a joke to the viewers. That's a fucking thing. I'm literally just being an asshole.
It just like VR. People that have VR, like I've met a majority of people in VR are all my age or older.
Yeah,
give or take. They're around my age. They're 24 and above, pretty much. Because a lot of people that get into VR, it's gaming has been their hobby for so long, and they want to do something new. And they're like, you know what? Like, they know how it was for like these young kids that are 13, 14 that are only gaming because now it's socially acceptable.
Right.
As opposed to us, we were like, oh, we didn't tell people we played video games because they were looking at us weird. And like so many of my old high school friends made fun of me for playing CounterStrike in high school. Then they saw how big people were getting on Twitch, and they were like, oh, can you tell me how to set my stream up? Can you play with me? No, I'm not doing that. Because now you're doing it. Now you're doing it because there's money involved.
Right.
But people in VR are doing it because it's the love of technology and the love of what their medium was when they were younger, evolving into something like this. Like I was telling Soul, we don't just say words because he can just do this in game and just shrug. And I'm like, oh, he doesn't know. Like I don't have to use words. Like I have all these gestures to do to you guys. Like I can flip you off. Like cool. Like it's one of those things where it's like awesome. Like it's things like that, and you're just like, this is
just go full
it's like my fingers aren't working right now, but it's like one of those things where it's like it's just there we go, yeah. But it's things like that where it's like people that are in VR, especially PC VR, I will say, not so much the Quest 2 because the Quest 2 is so accessible,
right?
PC VR people, I haven't met toxic people.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
people that have the furry avatars and are furries in real life, they don't talk to a lot of people in real life. That's me assuming, right? Like they probably talk to a group of friends, but they just won't go up to someone random and talk to them.
Right.
Yeah.
VR though, they'll come up to me and say, "Hey, how are you?" And I'm like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" Like,
Yeah.
cool. And I can learn so much about what their passion is, which is doing that. Like, I learn more as opposed to like I go on the news and see a furry convention or My Little Pony convention. I'm just like, what the fuck? Like,
I have to be honest. I think the only places that I've seen like actual like toxic behavior is inside of VRChat. I think that's honestly
honestly,
probably the only.
yeah,
because there's
Like sometimes you get like somebody who's like overly competitive and onward or
yeah.
whatever, and that's like what I mean. That's kind of to be expected.
Competitive, obviously, but
yeah, but like VRChat's a weird.
It's a weird mix.
Well,
it's a weird mix.
toxic.
You have to think that VRChat has like desktop people, Quest people,
Yeah,
and like there's several different like platforms that can go into VRChat. So
right.
you're always going to get a mix of people like that can't afford VR maybe, and they'll just be toxic or
Plus, there's just desktop users as well.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
I mean, to not shit on desktop people, but sometimes y'all motherfuckers just be wild. On the
I mean, you look at the news, all the swattings and all that happens from desktop people. Like people, like the thing that I've found the most like welcoming thing is in VR. No one's like that. I mean, like you'll get games that have like that flat screen and VR people that can mix together, and the people on desktop, you know who they are. They're pieces of shit. Or like Rec Room, you'll see people on the console and VR, and the people on console are just rude. It's like people that have VR, like at least the older people, not the young kids coming in now. The people that have done this for a little bit, they already have an understanding. Like, hey, this is our community, and we're in the ground of the community, right? Like we can shape the community.
We're building the community.
Exactly. Like we can shape the community on how we want. Gaming back then, you couldn't do that because you had Age of Empires come out, you had Civ come out, you had CounterStrike come out, you had Half-Life come out. So you had all these games come out, all different communities. VR is basically one community. I mean, like I play Veil, and that's the only game I've really played is Veil, and I only have like 40 hours in that, right? But people in Veil go like, oh, I played this guy in Pop 1 and Pavlov and Contractors and Onward. It's like everyone in VR in that scene, I don't want to say VR chat because VR chat's just so huge, but in that scene of the other games, I feel like everyone knows everyone. It's like a small town feel almost. Like you see people come from different games, and it's just like they have an understanding on what they want VR to be, and they make it as welcoming and awesome as possible. Because my first time in VR, I had no idea what I was doing, and people were walking with me, explaining to me what to do. Like they were like, "This is what you do. This is what you do." I'm at Panda a week and a half ago. And if you see how Pan and I talk to each other, you would think we know each other for a year.
Right.
Like it's one of those things where I just feel like I kick off easier with people in VR because you have the passion for this technology and the passion to see how far gaming can get and just social interaction can get in VR, because gaming in general has helped a lot of socially awkward kids learn how to talk. Same with Dungeons and Dragons. It helped a lot of people that Dungeons and Dragons, you tabletop stuff. You'd only talk to those people, but you learn how to communicate, just like Soul. But
it's like socially awkward kids, and I pointed at you.
Yeah, but it's things like that where Dungeons and Dragons helps those nerdy kids that wouldn't talk to people at school. It gave them the power. Me too. I love Dungeons and Dragons, but it's like it gave all of us like a reason to learn how to talk, and we were able to live our dreams and our future and our fantasies. And now you go into VR, and you're just like, holy shit, I can do this. Like I can go into VR chat. Exactly. Like I can go into VR chat. Exactly. Like I can go into VR chat and go play Demio and things like that. And I can literally play Dungeons and Dragons in VR. Like how fucking cool is that? Like I wouldn't have thought that 10 years ago. I wouldn't have thought that 3 years ago. But it's like it's one of those things where you're just like, holy shit, like this is crazy. And that's why I think VR is such not toxic, because everyone that's in it is like, dude, this is what we were dreaming of as kids. Being able to be in the game. Not just use a mouse and keyboard or controller. I'm reaching for something. I'm climbing a ladder. Like my first ladder I climbed is Half-Life Alex. I'm like, what the fuck? Like this is
fucking crazy. It's like it feels like it's come kind of like full circle in a lot of ways. It's like when I was a kid, like I remember growing up playing World of Warcraft. I played a shit ton of World of Warcraft growing up. It's honestly probably still like my most played game to date. And I I always would play it, and there would be like this sense of like awe or wonder that would come when you'd be like flying on a fucking griffin over like a beautiful coastline or something, and you're like, wow, man, this world that these people have put all their time into creating this beautiful high fantasy type setting and this world that they've created for you to just walk around in and explore, right?
Yeah,
And I was like, I wonder when we're gonna be able to be there though. Like, I'm
exactly.
tired of looking at it. I wanna be there
Mhm.
and see it for
Mm-hmm.
myself, and now there's fucking worlds in vrchat that literally recreate areas from World of Warcraft, and you
Exactly.
can actually
Yeah,
just go
like,
do it now.
there's even
Yeah.
like
Fucking
there's even
insane.
like the Legend of Zelda world, right? Like there's a whole like
Mhm.
Yeah,
playable
yeah.
Breath of the Wild
Hyrule
in
Field.
VRChat. It's
Well,
and
Yeah.
Majora's
even
Mask.
like what is it? Like the Steam Home. Like you can go download the Stormwind home and you can walk around Stormwind and just like,
Yeah.
I
dude,
didn't even know that.
like it's crazy, and you're just like, and like it looks almost like a 1-in-1 of Stormwind.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
literally just the models were put into VR and rendered, and just like, what the heck? Like this is wild that I'm able to live
Yeah.
through this. And I was talking to Soul yesterday, like MMOs still haven't hit that kind of like groove in VR,
Mhm.
but once they do, it's game over. People are going to come from flat screen all over, because the reason with flat screen is what I was telling them is there's not a lot of games that big streamers, for instance, want to play. Like they played Half-Life Alyx, they don't play anymore. They
Sure.
played that one major
Yeah.
game, and it was one of those things.
Mhm.
Boneworks isn't accessible to a lot of people, because Boneworks, if that's the only game you've played, you're going to get motion sickness. If that's
Yeah.
the first game you played, because when I played it, I was
Yep.
dying.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
was.
a lot of people
It was
struggle with that.
rough, but
Boneworks.
now it's easy, right? But it's just like, if we want that big audience to come from a big streamer, we need to bring that Rust over, that World of Warcraft over, and then it's
Yeah.
like, well, now
Yeah.
people can see what it can do, because all people see is, oh, it's shooters. Well, that's
Mhm.
easy, just point and
Right.
shoot. That's what they think is
Sure.
it's easy, but it's not.
Yeah.
But that's all they see, so they're just like, you know what? I'll wait.
I feel like that's kind of where we're actually at. We're like at this awkward period in VR gaming right now, where it's kind of feels like that. We're we've gotten past the social games like VRChat and Neos. We've gotten past the wave of you all right, homie?
Yeah, I am. I'm just closing my window.
Okay.
I'm closing my window.
You just pop in a squat.
Looks
and
like he's
drop
ready
a
to take a
fucking
dildo
chocolate
up his
hot
ass.
dog. Oh, yeah.
It's like, put it underneath my
We
feet,
got
please.
past the wave of like VR shooters and stuff, and there are like some games that are being developed now finally that are like really starting to get creative, that are beyond just
Mhm.
the social games, the shooting games. Like there's
Mhm.
some really wild stuff in development right now, and I'm really excited to fucking see it, because that's
Yeah,
really what VR has been missing for at least a couple of years now.
exactly.
Aren't they making an SAO VR? Right?
What's that?
Aren't they making an SAO game for VR right now?
Like an official SAO
Not like
game?
official. I think there's like one similar to it. I think it's Altair Breaker. Is that
Altair Breaker. That's like, yeah, it's like a JRPG
yeah,
sort of,
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, like
Um,
you see that, and it's just like, that's so cool, because like my thing is,
Mhm.
shooters are just kind of so played out, because that's why I've played on a flat screen. Why
right,
am I buying a VR headset to play shooters?
Right.
But it's just a little different because I'm more active in it. But
right.
like I was saying, the mods, like you have these mods being made, the Resident Evil 2 mod, 3 mod, 7, 8,
Yeah.
all that stuff. You have
Yeah.
Valheim. Like you see these mods and you're like, what the hell? Like it's
Anything is
crazy
possible
what they
now.
can do. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy what they can do and what games they can put into VR. And then once these bigger companies, like especially like Valve, they were able to see how successful Half-Life Alyx was, because that really sold a lot of headsets just so people could play that game. Like people were like, I'm buying an index to play that game.
Yes.
And now they're like, well,
Literally,
shit.
yeah.
Now they can do a proper CounterStrike over to VR. They can do a proper Team Fortress over to VR. They can do a Left 4 Dead over to VR, because they saw how successful it was and how well the Source 2 engine handles VR. Now
Yeah.
they're just like, well, now we can do that. And the more AAA companies that come in, like Ubisoft just scrapped the Splinter Cell, a VR game.
Yep.
And it's like, they're like, we didn't think we're going to make money on it. That's your fault. Because a lot of these AAA companies, well, really only Valve is the only one really in it still.
Correct. Yeah.
They
Or
don't
that has at least done it
Like
properly.
exactly right.
Every other AAA title
Yeah.
has basically been dog shit.
But like a lot of VR games are really indie companies, and that's really how it is. But once these AAA companies that have these large funds come in and start throwing money at VR, I feel like we're always going to be in this little rut because there's only so much that the Boneworks people can do. There's only so much that certain companies can do, right?
Mhm.
But then once you have these companies that come in with billions of dollars, they're like, you know what, we're going to do this. Like I was talking to him, the GTA San Andreas. Who knows if that will be good? I hope it's good, but who knows?
Right.
And if Rockstar sees that is a very successful thing, who's saying we don't get Red Dead Redemption into VR, right? With VR motion and all that stuff. Like who says we don't get that? So
Yeah.
it's more exciting when you see those companies come in where they're like, yeah, I'm gonna port this game over. Like Resident Evil 4 got ported over. Beautiful fucking game. Awesome game. Dope. Like
Mhm.
they saw how successful that was, and now they're like, you know what, let's move these other games over. And then it just makes VR way more competitive and makes VR have such a wide variety of games because these AAA companies are now seeing how successful and how lucrative VR can be.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
like that's actually a good like point. Like we talked about it vaguely last podcast with like Panda and Hip, right? With
Yeah.
the AAA title or AAA game companies that don't really do a good job with VR. Like
Yeah.
Bethesda made a shit port for Fallout and Skyrim. Modders fixed it,
Yeah.
and then
Well, they fixed the PC version also. I mean, like,
yeah. Like, but like, and then you have like But the only other company that I could think of that really did like a good job was probably Capcom, or like I don't even know if it is Capcom who did the VR port, right, with the Resident Evil 4, and then
It probably wasn't.
yeah,
Capcom
but I mean either
themselves. They
way,
probably
either
sourced it
either
out.
way though, like that's a good step because
Yeah.
we also have the Resident Evil 8 Village
Right.
coming for PlayStation VR 2, which who knows if it comes to PC, which I fucking hope it does because I would love
me
to play
too.
it.
Well, they have the mod for it
Well,
also
yeah,
already that plays really
played
well.
it. I played it, but you still have to use a controller, right?
Oh, okay.
Well, no, you can use your hands, but it's like, I don't know.
Weird.
Yeah, and it's not like optimized, right? Because it's like,
Yeah.
it's not meant
Well, it's
for
nice
VR.
that Sony's coming in because Sony's
Yeah.
such a huge company, and they're
Right.
like, you know what, we're gonna make the best VR headset
Yeah.
that's gonna be on the market at that time, and that actually might be affordable,
Mhm.
right? Like it might not be $3,000, it might be
I mean,
$800,
Yeah.
but it has eye tracking and mouth tracking. But you're having a huge company like that coming to VR.
Mhm.
Now people are like, oh, we're funded by Sony, and they're asking us to make an exclusive for VR. Let's do it.
Yeah, I would totally
that's basically.
like.
Oops.
That's
You're good.
sorry. Go ahead.
I would totally like to see more of the AAA studios come in, but at the same time, Payne had a good point. Like it's
Yeah.
not like sometimes it's not a good idea because they don't know what
Exactly.
they're doing. Because like we don't know if
Right.
the Assassin's Creed one's going to be good,
It's uncharted
right?
territory
Yeah,
for them.
yeah,
which
for
is
sure.
what makes it so janky
Yeah.
when they actually do put together the resources to make a game.
Yeah.
You know, they would rather place their bets on games that they know how to make, that they know are going to be profitable.
Mhm.
Because you have to think about it. These aren't a lot of them. I'm sure there are plenty of gamers in these corporations, but the corporations aren't run by gamers.
They're run by
businessmen.
suits. Like,
Right, they're run by suits. And so all they care about is the bottom line.
yeah.
They don't give a fuck if the game is actually good. They don't give a fuck if the game is actually like an enjoyable thing to
They
experience.
just want money.
They're just like, we need the money. This will cause us to get the money, right?
Yeah.
It's that simple, like efficient logic for them that causes that. And that is the side of that sort of gaming that I definitely don't want to see in VR because I don't want
The rush
garbage,
games and all
jank
that
games.
stuff.
The cyberpunks, although cyberpunk now is
It's
in my
amazing.
opinion, is a good game,
It's amazing.
but it launched like ass, right?
Mhm.
That's just objectively true. It launched in a dog shit state, and CDPR absolutely fucking lied about it, and then played it anyway because they had to please the investors.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't want to see. I don't want to see that garbage coming into VR, which I'm really fucking pleased about because so far I haven't really seen that.
Yes.
I mean, I know I'm a fucking fanboy, but like what XLab is doing with Veil right
Yeah.
now
Mhm.
is ideal, right?
Mhm.
They said that they were going to release the open beta this summer, and then they were like, sorry, we got to delay it. We got to push it back. They've been transparent with everyone about it from the beginning. It's not like they've been lying to
Mhm.
anyone. They're taking their time to make sure that the game is done properly, that it's, the bugs are fixed, the glitches are away before they actually release it into that open beta state. Because
Exactly.
nobody wants to play a fucking broken, janky ass game, especially in VR.
Exactly.
In flat screen, it's different because if you do, all right, whatever, it's a glitch and something maybe funny happens. But in VR, it's like jarring and nauseating
Mm-hmm.
and like obnoxious, right? Like it's different when you're in VR and you experience a bug like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of Veil VR,
Yeah.
you are in the league for Homeland, right?
Yes. Yeah, I am.
We had
Oh yeah, they're doing a Veil tourney right now.
the qualifiers just went.
Yeah.
This is day 2 of qualifiers in terms of this recording. How was day 1?
Oh, good. We qualified. We beat both teams 11-0.
Nice.
Some people in the community were mad that they gave us a bye. They were like, "Why'd they get a bye? Why'd they get a free like number 1 seed?" And me, I'm super toxic and I'm very competitive, right? So I just simply said, "You guys should have been better." I'm like this one team is calling. They're like, "Oh, you played 2 bad teams." Well, the second team we played wasn't bad because they 11-5 the other team. And then we just happened to 11-0 them. We're just better. Like, if you want to, and they didn't even qualify. So I'm like, if you want to qualify, don't give up 5 rounds to a bad team, right? But like, my thing is, that's been the only community where like the competitive scene is low key kind of toxic. Is they're calling teams bad, but I'm like, maybe we're just better, right? Like,
Yeah,
a
like,
lot of these teams
doesn't
don't have
mean anyone's bad.
exactly.
They're all good. It's
Exactly, right? Like they're all good. It's just different, right? But it's like a lot of these teams also don't have a guy that played a FPS for a living. A lot of these guys don't have that. A lot of these guys don't have that structure that I'm bringing over to Homeland and that team. But it's like they say that, and then today they 11-0 teams. I'm like, oh, and then I literally said in Discord, you can ask Soul. I literally said, oh, is this? Can I now complain about teams with easy matchups, or was that just a first day thing? Because it's like the team that complained, they played their sister team, which was their US team, their NA team, and they 11-0'd them. So it's like, I'm not gonna throw accusations because I'm not, but me being a troll, I would have just said, "Oh, did they throw for you?" Because that's just who I am. Because if you're gonna talk shit about my team and what I've done and say that the teams we played were just bad and we're not good, I'm gonna talk shit back.
So
It's simple as that.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
And-
Once you
and
open
yeah.
that can of worms, you can't like
Exactly.
unopen it.
And
You
I've
can't
been
get
warned.
upset.
I've been warned so many times just because I'm outspoken. I'm not gonna let some guy badmouth the team I play on or the team that I created because they think we're some troll team with 2 guys that work for X Labs with being short stack doing media and Virtual Panda, and they think that we're just a troll team. I dropped 35 on you. I'm not a troll. Like, we're not a troll team. I went 35-10. Like, clearly we're not bad.
Right.
So it's one of those things where I hear that and I'm like, dude, like, you're not good. This is your only experience. Like, don't bash a team because we just happen to 11-0 them. Because now I can just bash you saying, oh, you 11-0 2 bad teams. And then we're going to say, and the guy saying that isn't even a player. He's their manager. So he's clearly not even good enough. Like he's not even good enough to play on the 5. So it's like, why are you talking to me? And then he says, well, I didn't say you were bad. You said you were up on us 2-0 because and then we left. I'm like, you guys won pistol round and then we left. You're not better than us. I may have said we would have beat you too, but apples and oranges. But it's just one of those things where it's like that's the only scene that I've seen where people are actually kind of like too competitive to a point where it's toxic because they just complain. Like, who would expect a tournament to run good on the first day? No one. This is a new thing. And they said, get ready for up to 6 hours. Only 20 teams signed up for yesterday's qualifier. And on the website, it says there's like 170 teams.
I was going to say, I thought there was supposed to be like a shit ton.
So only 20 teams signed up for yesterday. New teams were playing today, and some of the teams from yesterday were playing today. But it's like, if you can't complain that they said be ready for up to 6 hours, and only 20 of you guys showed up because they want to take the top 6, which they said they were only taking the top 6. And by the time it was our 3rd round, and they told us we had to take a bye, there's only 11 teams left. So if we played that and say we beat you guys, that's your 2nd loss, and then you're out. But now we only have 4 teams that are still in. So how do we So people just aren't understanding in that kind of scheme and like with Veil competitive right now. But a wide portion of it, I don't want to say all of them, but a wide majority of them are understanding. But there's just a few of them that are just absolute dicks. and assholes. I'm like, dude, shut up. Like, let them do their thing. They gave us a bye because we 11-0 teams.
I think that's to be expected.
So
if you wanted to buy
like,
11-0 both teams, don't be bad. Don't give up Browns. We didn't.
When you just get a bunch of like naturally competitive individuals all working on at the same time on something, I feel like it's just inevitable. Like, honestly, it probably happens in like regular sports too.
It definitely does. But like they were just yelling at the refs, and the thing is, only one person showed up to ref yesterday, so it's like cutting them some slack.
Yeah.
Only one person and 2 other mods showed up. Like no one else was there. Like cut them some slack. They're doing the best they can, and they're just like, "Oh, you guys messed up the scores. How could you do that?" It happens. Like,
have you played against Chewy yet?
What team does he play on? I know who he is.
I think Globochem.
I've like pugged against him and stuff like that.
Okay, because he dropped into our match the other day and literally just like fucking swept house and then just left. Literally a single round, just went like 22-1 and then just walked.
Like I would say I've played with a lot of the top players. And like I don't want to be like that overly confident dude, but I would say I'm in the top 5. I would say like that's my confidence speaking, that I would say there's not a lot of people better than me in Vale. Mainly because my only experience in Vale is playing competitive. It's playing those competitive pugs.
Sure.
And then scrimming. So like, and the experience I have in game since I have from CounterStrike really translates really well to Vale. Vale is actually, I would say, more of a carbon copy to CounterStrike than Pavlov is. And everyone says Pavlov is a CSVR.
And you naturally have that natural reflex because you've used firearms before too. So that's another advantage right there.
Exactly. So,
a quick question though. For smooth brain people like me, what does a buy mean? Because I've been seeing that term. So what is a buy?
So it pretty much just means so like the way they did it yesterday is just means you don't play that round. So like typically like in the chat they were like, oh, the lowest person in the loser bracket gets the buy, which is not accurate whatsoever, because typically what happens is the top team will get a buy. The number 1 seed gets a buy, which means you just don't play. We don't play. We get like a little buy round. What's he doing? Oh, is he petting a dog?
Yes.
Hi, buddy.
Oh,
I love you.
I kicked my dog out, and I could do this too. What the fuck? But yeah, like it's things like that where it's like, we got the bye because our points against were 0.
Okay.
No one scored a point on us, so they said you guys have to take the bye because the team that was getting the bye wouldn't have been able to qualify if they had the bye. They had to play that last match to see if they can qualify. So people were mad about that, but I'm like, guys, if they would have had the bye, they wouldn't have been able to qualify. If you guys wanted to have the bye and be given the first seed, don't give up rounds. Like, it's simple as that, right? But that's what a buy is. A buy is just going to be you don't play that round. So when you see like the teams in the NFL, the winners of the division, the best ones with the best record, they don't play that wild card round. They have a bye week. They don't play. They get to just practice and rest. That's pretty much what the buy is.
Okay, cool.
Because even if they did play somebody else, the loss would be irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Because I'm smooth brain. I don't know anything competitive. I'm not a competitive person at all.
Felt.
Like I tried to go in the league thing, but like for one, coordinating with the team I had, not everybody could play, and then I had my own shit to deal with, and it was just not working. I wanted to, I still do, but obviously it's going now. So
I also wanted to. I was on a team for a minute, but I just like between work stuff and content creation, I was just like, dude, like it's not that I didn't want to do it. I wanted to do it. God damn it! I got so much fucking dog hair on my face now. Thank you, Diesel.
I wish I was on your face.
Yeah, I wish you were too. Fucking spread those cheeks and sit that fat gamer boy pussy right on my face. So
hairy
I can
ass crack on your face,
dude. It's like fucking Don King down there, dude. I need to go get it waxed.
Bro, yeah, I wanted to. I really did.
Me too.
But I was just like, I don't know that I'm going to be able to commit the time that you guys need me to be able to commit the time for. Like I hated backing out.
I want to try next year for sure. Like if they do it again, right? I want to try for sure next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah,
he-
their plan is to just have a full season going on every single
Yeah.
time. So like once this is
Yeah.
over, they plan on doing another season. I think
They'll just
that's
have regular seasons like the NFL or the
yeah.
NHL or NBA or whatever.
But
Yeah.
I've been really just enjoying. Honestly, like after this, I don't even know if I want to play competitive anymore. Just because VR, there's just so much to do in VR, and I don't really know if I want to ruin VR with playing
Yeah.
competitively because playing CounterStrike for that long really ruined gaming for me
Mhm.
because I just
Yeah,
became
that's understandable.
so competitive. Like I couldn't play a game for fun. Like I wouldn't play with my friends in real
Right.
life because I would
Right.
say they're bad. So like
Right.
part of me is like, yes, this is right. So like and it's like no shade to like anyone, but like Soul, have you played Counter-Strike before?
Not very often, no.
I would never play with him. Like and that's the thing is like I'm
Yeah.
just so confident in that game and I've played so long that I don't have time to waste. And
Right.
that's why I don't
Yeah.
want VR to become for me because if I only play competitive where money starts to flow in, like bigger teams like Cloud9 and everything come in, start sponsoring people.
Yeah.
I don't really know. Like, sure, I can make 10,000 a month, but I don't really know if I want to be putting in 80 plus hours a week to play a game and then
Right.
lose what VR gave me, which was an escape from serious gaming.
Right.
Yeah, that
That's
absolutely
fair.
makes sense. I 100% understand that.
Mhm.
I completely get that. I think that's a pretty natural expectation to have. I was curious about because you said you had military and law enforcement background. I know you're not in the military anymore. Are you doing law enforcement currently?
No, so I stopped in February of 2021. So
Okay.
I tore my shoulder.
Good time to stop.
I tore both my shoulders in the military. I had my right shoulder repaired in 2017. And that's when I started the hiring process for law enforcement.
Okay.
And then in February, we were moving a inmate from one cell to another because they were like mule kicking their door. And when we went in, my shoulder dislocated, and then went back in and retore my entire shoulder.
Oh
So
my god.
I left because of that, but I also left because my Crohn's had gone fairly bad,
Mhm.
and I just
Yeah.
dealt with some racist things. Because I mean, when you work with a bunch of like white Republicans, it's bound to happen. Like,
Yeah.
no offense to you guys, right? But
Yeah.
like, sorry, viewers, but like when you work with a bunch of alpha male white Republicans that don't think there's anything wrong with the police, it gets really hard because me being a black male in a state where it's only like 2% black, like there's not a lot of people that look like me
Right.
in Oregon.
Right.
And with a state that has a very racist background, which people think like, oh, they're liberal, they're not racist. Yeah, bullshit.
Yeah,
But
I have personally found from experience that racism comes in all forms, shapes, and sizes. It is not
Exactly.
exclusive to one
Yep.
political party
Yeah.
or group of people.
And like inmates would come in and they would call me the N word just to see if I get a rise out of it. But I'm like,
Sure,
dude,
yeah.
first of all, I played Counter-Strike for 20 fucking years. You think that's gonna hurt me? Like, come on. But
You
like,
think you can hurt me?
Yeah,
I've
like-
already hurt myself.
yeah, like I'd look at them and be like, wait, I'm black, and they get mad if I said that. But it's like dealing with it when it was like inmates were fine because I mean it's the worst day of their life. Like that really is
Yeah.
what jail is. It's the worst day of their life, and it could be the worst day of the worst months of their life. But when
Yep.
it comes from people that are supposed to have my back, if an inmate assaults me, I was just like, you know what, I can't do that. And they didn't take the claim serious at first, so I was just like, you know what, my mental health went down because I graduated in 2014 out of high school.
Yeah.
And in that 7-year period before I left, so before this year, that 7-year period, I lost probably about 35 friends to suicide or car accidents or drug overdoses. So it's
Sure.
like my mental health was just tanking because
Tanking.
I've
yeah.
lost more people in my life than people lose their entire life or 2 lifetimes, right?
Right. Yeah.
In a span of 7 years. And my mental health just went to shit. And I was like, you know what? I was calling my parents every day after work just so I could talk to them on my way home so I didn't drive my car into a tree. Like things like that, like serious things. And I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm done with this. Like I need to leave this. I need to go find something I want to do. And
I mean, I feel like
have a
law
passion
enforcement
doing.
is just kind of like
sucks.
it's one of those jobs where it's like it's a shitty, thankless job, and I'm not saying like again, not trying to get political. I reserve no moral judgment on how you feel about law enforcement, but it is objectively true that it's a shitty job to do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I worked corrections, so like I
Yeah.
worked in the jail, and already law enforcement and honestly just first responders in general have a high suicide rate.
Right.
Just think of, I think patrol, like normal cops you see on the street, their suicide rate's like 30 or 40. Corrections is 60%.
Jeez.
So you have to think 60% of corrections officers, one, either live in their 50s and they're dead, or they commit suicide. So it's like, before I got too deep in that career, I was like, I'm gonna leave because I'm still young. I'm 26. I'm still young. I left when I was 24, 25. Like, I was able to do that. If I was 35, 40, I wouldn't have the privilege to just leave and start new. So I was like, let me get out while I can and find something I want to do.
Yep.
It's good on you.
That's the best fucking way to do it, man. That's definitely
double
it
check
right
time
there.
real quick.
It has actually, I didn't even think to check the time. It's 7:01 right now. How long have we been recording?
I've been recording 1 hour and 16.
Oh shit, for real?
Because I started recording sooner than you did.
Yeah, I'm a minute and 11, but still, holy shit, that went fast.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's what happens when you have a good time
Have fun.
talking. Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun, guys.
Yeah, no, we've been having fucking awesome conversations though.
How far are we on your end?
Super insightful. 1 minute 11
left.
Or sorry,
I was like,
hour 11. Fucking stroke. I just had a stroke.
1 hour and 11 seconds.
1 hour 11 minutes.
11 minutes. Okay, you want to call it or?
I mean, I'm not in a rush.
I mean, I know we had plans with Panda, you and me. I know.
Yeah,
he has a D&D thing. I don't know what the fuck he's doing.
I mean, if you guys have any more questions, you guys feel free to ask me. I mean, like I said, I'm an open book.
If you got questions, man, go for it. I don't think I have any. He's pretty much answered all my questions. You know, like competitive. It's been very insightful. Like, it's very different perspective. You know, as I said, I'm not a competitive person. I don't know anything about VR, like eSports or VR eSports at all. So it's very insightful. The only competitive esport player I know that very rarely talk to is Viper, because Viper does Onward competitively, and he's actually doing he's doing it right now. He's doing Veil, right?
And he got me actually into like that competitive thing because he actually just popped up on my YouTube one time, and I was like, let me see this guy, and he's like Onward. I'm like, this shit's cool, and I'm gonna kind of reiterate, like, leaving. Like, people always ask, oh, why'd you leave? Like, JD, why'd you leave CounterStrike when you're making so much money? The scene's racist. Like, it's simple as that. Like, the scene is very racist to where we'd go to events and I'd be called the N-word, and I can't do anything because I'm on contract, right? And
that's fucking enraging.
Right? But then you look at like Valorant, for instance. A lot of those guys that come from Counter-Strike, and I'm not going to name drop names, but like some of those really popular guys that people really love on Twitter and everything like that, and are really huge in Valorant, are racist. Like, they say the N-word all the time. Like, literally, one of them got banned for 3 weeks because he dropped the hard R against one of us in a pug. Like, and no one knows that because it was before their fame in Valorant, right? But it's one of those things where it's just so tiring, because in VR I haven't seen that. I haven't heard I literally, in my time of playing VR, which is I want to say like 600 hours or so, I have not heard racist word yet. I've not been called the N-word, anything like that. Right?
Good.
Like,
it's because the VR community is fucking dope.
Exactly, right?
But then
exactly, and then it's like, you know what? I'll lose the money any day of the week if it's my happiness. And seeing these guys succeed on top teams and are on Twitch with 30,000 viewers and stuff like that, and people don't understand how toxic they really are because there's a persona they put on that people think is what they are, is just irritating. And people go like, oh, you're just trying to ruin people's careers. No, I simply don't care. They just need to own up to their mistakes, right? They need to own up.
Said right there was, I think, in my opinion, one of the most important things I've ever heard somebody say, which is, you would leave the money if it meant your happiness.
Yeah.
And that's the lesson to take away. Pursue happiness, not money.
Yeah.
If you pursue happiness, the money will follow.
And that's why I talk about the competitive VR scene. It's like, do I really want to ruin my happiness and what giddy VR gives me by being forced to play 80 plus hours a fucking week in VR? Like, no, I'd rather have fun, be able to put this on and go into VR chat or go into Neos and things like that and just have fun. And this is not a thing. And then you look at like Valorant on Twitter and you see all the scandals that have happened in a game that's only a year and a half old. There's so many sexual assault allegations. There's so many rape allegations. There's all these allegations that literally you cannot go on Twitter and not see it every other day. VR, you don't get that. Tell me the last time someone was able to go on Twitter and see a big scandal in VR. You can't.
Agreed.
I can go tell you one that happened yesterday in
Yeah,
Valorant.
like-
That is a question from way back on why I went to VR, and that's a big thing. Is VR is just amazing. Like people hold themselves accountable, and it's not.
Mhm.
There's no fake persona. Like you get the real person.
Yeah, it's true. I think there's something to be said about that because it's like in a way, like yes, we have these avatars, right? We can hide behind them. We
Right.
can swap them out, make ourselves look like our ideal person. And I
Mhm.
think in a lot of ways, that's what makes it so comforting for people is
Yeah.
they don't feel like they have to be judged based on their actual appearance,
Mhm.
right? Which is very common for a lot of people. They just realize that hey, I can just be my genuine self, and I don't really
Exactly.
have to worry what people think because if they don't like me, I can just fucking block them or mute them or
Right.
whatever, right? Like,
Exactly.
it's not that big of a deal.
And then that's when you get into the little, like the My Little Pony stuff and the furry stuff. Is that's where people are most comfortable in. Like that's literally what people are
Yeah.
most comfortable in because they're
Yeah.
not comfortable in their own skin. They're able to put a headset on and become what they are comfortable in.
Mhm.
And there's thousands of people that are just like them.
Yeah.
So
That share the same interests. and
exactly
love
right,
passion.
and that's where again, it was a long question. It was a long time ago when you asked that question, but that's why VR means so much to me, is because of that.
I love VR.
Yeah, same.
So I
VR is
absolutely
amazing.
love VR. It's just literally, it's like the best fucking thing in the world. I don't know how to. It sounds fucking stupid to like say that out loud.
No,
but,
it
like,
is, dude.
I really mean that because, like,
Yeah.
I mean, you probably don't know, but Soul knows. I've basically fantasized about VR since I was a child. So,
Mhm.
like, this is like literally a dream come true for me. Just
Exactly.
To be able to, it's like, yes,
Mhm.
we are inside of this world now.
Yeah, and
there's stuff
it's
like
kind of helped bring my family together because my sister lives in Seattle, so
yeah.
she got a Quest 2 and I got her to get walkabout mini golf.
Oh yeah.
And every weekend we play together. We are
Dude,
in
that's fucking
VR and we're
awesome.
playing together.
Yeah.
My mom's upstairs and she's playing with us. My sister
Dude, that's fucking sick.
my sister lives an hour away from me is in VR with us. And we're all playing together. So VR
Yeah.
has opened up that whole, like, it's not just gaming, it's the experience, right? Like
Yeah.
my
yeah.
sisters who don't play video games, my mom who definitely doesn't play video games because she can hardly work her phone, she can come into VR and just play a golf ball. And it's things like that where it's not so much of gaming, it's just more of a social interaction. Like Valheim didn't feel like we were playing a game yesterday. It felt like we were literally in a forest, just making fucking shit up. Like that's all that felt like, right? And that's why
that's the perfect way to describe
Mhm.
VR.
and that's why I
honestly.
love it. Is VR isn't so much. I wouldn't say VR is gaming. VR is just it's
It's an escape.
It's just an experience.
It's an escape.
exactly.
too.
It's
just different.
an
Like,
escape. It's like a lifestyle almost because I come in here and I could do the stuff I love in real life,
Mhm.
but I could do it here. You want to play chess? We can play
with the
chess.
homies.
Like
Yeah.
it's stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
And-
it's not gaming. It's social.
Yeah,
That's what
another
it is.
good example is that, like, right here, right now, we're all in 3 different states and we're physically interacting right now. We're talking,
Exactly.
we're using our hands. We're not using like just regular old audio on Discord, right? We're
We can
actually
make eye contact.
yeah, we're having
we can
yeah,
literally
Yeah.
make eye contact.
Yeah,
with
like
you
I can
right
look at
here.
who's talking.
yeah,
Like
exactly. That's like that's what amazes me a lot, right? Like, because like VR is like underrated, honestly, for what it
So
is.
fucking underrated.
Like,
yeah.
obviously, yeah, you can't exactly experience visually, looking at a YouTube video, right? But yeah, you can see like people interact with their hands and stuff, and
mhm.
like, for example, like Josh Dub and like their stupid skits that they do, right? And then they see them move their hands and stuff, but obviously it's not the exact experience itself.
Yeah.
So, and then actually doing it for yourself, and me talking to you from Elden Ring and you from where you live at, right? It's surreal. It's an amazing experience.
Yeah.
So, off topic, did I?
What?
I think I sent you a TikTok. Did you look at your TikTok messages at all?
No.
So someone made a Skyrim VR mod, or no, Skyrim mod in general, of replacing Alduin with Ohio.
I saw that shit, dude. That shit was funny as fuck. It just drops down as just a fucking rock, pretty much. It's just a state of Ohio and like a rock just drops down, just and then flies away. Like
it's like they put Elden Ring and Skyrim. I was like, huh? And I look at it, just Ohio.
Yeah. It's fucking
dying.
amazing.
It's so good.
I love the modding community. They're just so fucking great. Their
so
sense of humor
fantastic.
is amazing. I love the fucking like Thomas the Tank Engine mods that like turn the dragons into various characters.
Macho
Yes.
Man Randy Savage.
Yeah.
And his shout is just the train horn, like just going off.
Yeah.
So good. Okay, I
Well,
think we should probably
we
end
should
it.
probably wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if we'll just go off on tangents and
Yeah,
just keep fucking talking
going
unless
and
we
going.
like fucking
We did
reel it
like
in.
last week or with
With fucking get hip,
Yeah,
dude.
dude,
We
it was
fucking
2
sat here
hour
for 2
podcast.
fucking hours. Holy shit.
Yeah.
But like
happens.
that's the positive about VR is you
Yeah.
can literally talk
Yeah.
for hours
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, there's so much depth to it.
Yeah.
There's so much to actually discuss about it and so much nuance.
Okay. So do you have anything you want to shout out before we end it?
Wrap it up. Yeah.
Twitter, your any
Shout
socials?
out my mom.
That is the most wholesome thing I've ever seen on this show.
I mean, if you guys want to follow me on Twitch, it's twitch.tv /ShootzB. That's ShootzB. My TikTok's the same. And yeah, that's really it.
Yep.
I mean,
And we'll have all
give
the
me a follow
links.
if you guys want.
We'll have all the links in the description for.
Yeah.
Yep.
But honestly, I hope you guys see more of me on Souls videos or Grampy's
course.
videos and games.
Of course, we have chemistry.
Just because I've just found almost like a home already with people I just met. And yeah, so hopefully you guys see more of me.
Yep. So
Hell yeah.
thank you for coming by and watching or listening to the Compel Reality podcast. And thank you, JD, for coming by. And
Thanks for coming on, bro.
Honestly, very short notice.
Thanks for having me.
Very short notice, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, like 20 minutes, guys. So
Yeah.
give this video a thumbs up. Hit the red button on the bottom.
Do what he's
Hit
saying.
the bell notification on the right.
Do it.
Subscribe, bitches, or I'll
Do it.
be in your window looking at you sleep.
Okay. Wow. That shit just escalated really fast. He's serious.
So
though. Do
so
it.
do all
I
the
am,
things he
I
said,
am.
and comment your favorite part. What's your thoughts on VR esports? What is your thoughts on VR esports or esports in general? Give us
Or
some,
just any of the topics we
just
discussed
anything.
tonight.
Give us
Yeah, just
anything
let
in
us
the
know-
comments.
Opine in the comment section and let us know how you felt about it.
And if you're on Spotify, make sure you hit the download button on the Spotify and rate us there as well. And the same thing for Apple Podcasts. And now we're on Google Podcasts as well. So
are we really?
Yes,
I didn't even know that.
I
Wow.
didn't know
Fancy.
either. It just happened with Anchor, I guess. So if either of those three things, you can listen to us anywhere. And Spotify does have video, so if you want to watch Spotify, it'll play the video there too.
Yeah, it should automatically upload.
And I want to shout out we made a Discord for the Compel Reality podcast.
We did.
We made a Discord because it was like requested. So if you want to go in the Discord and potentially, have some conversations with us and the rest of the community, you're more than welcome to. All the links are in the description.
Absolutely.
So I think that's it.
Yeah. We got all kinds of cool shit there.
Yeah.
We got like a D&D section.
Yeah,
A place where you
And
can
there's
talk about virtual reality.
there's a looking
or
to
just
play
shit
section
post
as well.
memes.
Yeah, there's looking to play. There's
Yeah.
memes.
Yeah.
Talk with other people and even our previous guests. We have our previous guests on there. Just don't add anybody. Just
don't ping anyone or like send random friend
there's
requests to them,
there's
like, be
rules.
respectful, but
There's rules, information, all that stuff on there. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that'll also be in the description.
Yeah.
I'll be sure to post that in the description.
yeah. So
Down below.
all right.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes. Thank you.
Hope you all had a wonderful time as we did. It was a very insightful conversation. JD, my dude, honestly, had such a great time talking to you. You're welcome back anytime.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I
100%.
appreciate
Actually,
it. I had fun.
Before we go, I'd actually like to have the Homeland Veil VR team come in at some point. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool.
I can do that.
Oh yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be
I
sick.
think that'd be
I can
awesome.
definitely do that.
So,
Yeah, have you all on.
Yeah.
Just do like a casting couch type
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
you know?
Yes,
Yes.
I'm so down. Can I be like Riley Reid and then they're behind me?
That'd be a great thumbnail for sure. That'd be a great thumbnail.
And I'll just be like this. I'm like this. I'll have full body tracking actually. I'll be like this.
We'll have to hook you guys up with like the proper avatars.
Yeah.
I'm so down.
We'll get you like a porn star actor's avatar,
Yeah.
and then
So
get some
down.
like male porn stars
Some
behind you. Or
gimp
something.
suits.
I'm
Yeah.
with it. I'm with it.
Okay.
Oh, that'll be the thumbnail.
Yeah.
That'll have to be
Yeah.
the thumbnail.
Yeah.
I'm so into this now.
All right, with that bombshell, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Everybody, take care.